It's chaos. It's a different type of Sunday scary. It's your newest obsession. It's Dirty Driving, a Formula One podcast. Hello, everyone. Happy pre-weekend episode for the Canadian Grand Prix. I am sitting here on Wednesday night recording this. It's a little weird to be doing this in the evening. I normally record in the mornings, and I normally record the pre-weekend episodes Thursday mornings. But you're getting this episode a little early, so not every piece of news that I probably want to share with you has come out yet. Not all the driver reactions in the pre-weekend interviews have happened, so it's short, it's sweet, it's simple. And the reason being, not only because, we're missing a day of news, but also because I feel that all the great content from this weekend is going to come in the post-weekend episode, where I will be able to give you guys a race recap, having been actually at the race, and also talk about my experience at this year's Canadian Grand Prix versus last year's. I'm interested to see if my perception of how a Grand Prix is put on, how it's facilitated, what the pop-ups are, the layout of the track, the things that go on at the track too, all the things will change now that I kind of know what spot I want to be in, how to get there, what time to show up, all the things. If you were here last year, you remember I sprinted a mile to get to our spot. I have a solution for that this year. So sit back, relax, enjoy this quick episode for the pre-weekend, and then please tune in after the weekend. The episode will come out on Tuesday, not Monday, because I'll be traveling on Monday, for the post-weekend where I get to talk about going to a Grand Prix. Let's jump into our news. So, two pieces of news today. One is sort of Formula One related, and the other one is also kind of Formula One related. I guess they're both Formula One related, but not really. So, the F1 Academy announced a new initiative with an aim to increase the female talent pool. So, the F1 Academy is kicking off this Discover Your Drive initiative, which will offer the opportunity for young females to join in on entry-level programs to promote female participation in motorsport as a whole. It's starting in the UK this year with about 6 venues. Before next year, it expands globally with the plan for these activations to happen in the couple of days before the weekends that feature both an F1 Academy race and a Formula One race. The other piece of news that is F1 related, but also not F1 related, but here we are, is that ex-F1 driver, we all know him here as Italian Jesus, Antonio Giovinazzi won the Le Mans 24-hour. Yes, that's right. Italian Jesus, along with his teammates Alessandro Piergiudi and James Calado, came out on top to win for Ferrari. This win marks Ferrari's 10th win at Le Mans. The previous one was all the way back in 1965. Charles Leclerc was actually there to cheer them on, was there celebrating, and also got interviewed after the race and said that he would one day like to compete in the Le Mans race. When will that happen? He wasn't sure. We're not sure. But when the day comes that it does happen, I will be there to watch him maybe be successful in a Ferrari. As I'm sure you've gathered, we will be in Montreal, Canada this weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix. The first Canadian Grand Prix took place in 1967. And for the first 10 years, the race was actually held at 2 different circuits in Canada before moving to the current circuit, which was originally called the Ile Notre Dame Circuit, before being renamed after Gilles Villeneuve after his tragic death. Didn't take place there, but he actually won the first Grand Prix that took place at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in 1978. The race is 70 laps long with a 4.361 kilometer lap length. This track is fast with low downforce. It's actually one of the drivers' favorites. The track is quite stop-start with lots of heavy braking chicanes and slow corners, paired with nice long straights, which allow for drivers to get in the slipstream of the drivers in front of them and provide them with good overtaking opportunities, giving it a quick and flowing feel to the circuit itself. Concrete walls line the outside of some corners, causing mistakes to be punishing. One of these walls is famous in the F1 world. It's dubbed the Wall of Champions, and it's the last corner of the circuit. It was named thanks to Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, and Damon Hill, all retiring after hitting it in the 1999 Canadian Grand Prix. In last year's race, Max was on pole for the first time in Montreal. Alonso was on the front row next to him for the first time in a really long time. Sergio Perez ended up losing engine power in lap 8, which brought out a virtual safety car. Mick Schumacher also lost engine power, DNFing. Hamilton was able to get ahead of Max while Max was exiting the pits. Eventually, though, Max is able to glide by Lewis, simply having more pace. The yellow flags and the safety car were brought out thanks to Yuki running straight into the barriers on the pit lane exit. One of the more embarrassing moments from last year. Max ended up taking the win, and thanks to that safety flag, Carlos Sainz got a perfect pit window and was able to take P2. Lewis Hamilton rounded out the podium with a third-place finish. Fernando Alonso did receive a post-race penalty, which dropped him from P7 to P9. This podcast is brought to you by Racing Thread, Formula One clothing for literally any occasion. Their clothing features subtle, evocative, embroidered designs of your favorite F1 moments. From Ricciardo's McHorsey entrance to Kevin's first pole. From Pierre and Yuki's bromance to Inspector Seb, the moments are endless. Whether you're out to dinner with friends, watching the race at home, or cheering in the grandstands, gone are the embarrassing sponsor logos. Instead, Racing Thread is F1 clothing you are comfortable wearing anywhere. Dirty Driving listeners can get 15% off Racing Thread's entire range of t-shirts, sweatshirts, polos, and bucket hats using the code Dirty Driving. Head over to racingthread.com to shop F1 racewear for anywhere. The weather this weekend looks a little sus, which for those of you who are not in the loop, that means suspicious. And the reason why it looks sus is because there's rain predicted for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I've been kind of tracking when the downfalls are supposed to take place, and it actually doesn't look like it's going to be that much rain. But the weathermen are always wrong, so don't listen to me either. And it isn't supposed to necessarily be taking place exactly when F1 is racing, but the track will be wet, blah, 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 blah. We all know what happens when there's rain in a weekend. So I will be bringing my poncho and a rain jacket and multiple pairs of shoes to change from Friday to Saturday and Saturday to Sunday. Because last year our shoes were wet the whole weekend. Whether it's wet or not, this weekend should bring some excitement. We've got a lot of iffy people, iffy teams and drivers coming into this weekend with either a higher confidence or not as high of a confidence. So we've got Mercedes entering the third weekend with these new upgrades, really the second weekend, because if you remember, Monaco isn't that great for showing what upgrades can do. Will they be able to maintain the pace that they had last weekend, potentially even improve on that pace, and maybe get both Lewis and George up on podium? We've also got Alex Albon from Williams talking about how Spain really showed the team where they were at, which is a lot further back than they thought they were. We'll have to see. I don't know. I'll be wearing my Williams bucket hat at least one of the days. You have to cheer them on. You know, back markers, we love them, we hate them. They disappoint us. They make us happy. All of the above. But I think I'm going into this weekend predicting that Fernando will be back on podium. He doesn't like being off podium from his comments last weekend. So let's go. Do I say it? Do I say that Max isn't going to be there? Do I say that he is going to be there? I'm going to go no Max. I'm going to go Alonso, Perez, Russell with Hamilton in fourth. And if for some reason Max doesn't crap out and it ends up being Max on the top of the podium, then I'm going to go Max, Fernando, Hamilton. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to make one ask, and that is if you're not already following the Dirty Driving Instagram, you do so before this weekend really starts on Friday. Like I have mentioned this whole episode, I think, I will be on track in person at the Grand Prix, posting videos, pictures, highlights, behind the scenes, all the works about being at a Grand Prix, and I would love for you guys to follow along, ask me questions as I go, all of the above. So give Dirty Driving a follow on Instagram. It's at Dirty Driving Pod. And I'll see you in the post-weekend episode, and we'll chat all about what happened in the race and what happened to me all weekend long. This podcast is brought to you by Red Racer Books, a children's book series about the marvelous world of motorsports. Looking to get the kiddos in your life interested in Formula One? The series includes the ABCs of Racing, which teaches concepts about racing with Red Racer as your guide. The 34-page book is full of gorgeous illustrations inspired by actual tracks and racing situations around the world. The series also includes the book All About Race Cars, a guide to Formula One race cars. Red Racer is joined by Roxy the Engineer, and they walk you through all the ins and outs of F1. This book is packed with 40 pages of beautiful illustrations teaching STEM facts about F1 cars. Red Racer Books is on a mission to give kids in the US and beyond a global perspective on sportsmanship, diversity, science, and technology. Dirty Driving listeners can get 20% off Red Racer Books' entire series using the code Dirty Driving. Head over to redracerbooks.com to buy the kiddos or the adults in your life their new favorite book. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Dirty Driving. Until next time, stay dirty.